Okay, now Virgo. And before I get started, guys, let me just remind you that if you are interested in having an archetypal astrology reading done by me, where I sit down with you and we go in depth over your chart and we figure out, how you can become the hero in your life story, then check out my website and my services, and you can order through there, www.thetruestnorth.com. My Facebook page is The Truest North. My email address is thetruestnorth@gmail.com. You can send me any inquiries there. And my IG is at The Truest North. And all of this information will be in the description below as well. So let's get started with Virgo. Virgo on the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, coinciding with the new moon in Aries, you will have the Pluto South Node conjunction at 23 degrees of Capricorn happening in your 5th house. So Virgo, you are being called to purge old structures that are impeding your growth and your soul's growth and development related to 5th house issues. So this is that which makes us truly happy, truly joyful in life. What is it that brings us joy? What is it that we love to do? What is our authentic, how do we authentically express ourselves? Are you authentic in your self-expression? Because if not, then you have to purge, the fakeness, so to say, that's preventing you from showing your true self. The fifth house is like what comes out when we express our true selves. What comes out when we're, closest to our identity as spirit. That pure joy and love. Fifth house is the house of love, of pure love. What is it that makes our hearts sing? It's also our creations, our creative ability, our creations of our mind, the creations of our mind, as well as our body, our creative genius, our inner creative genius. What's blocking that for you? Like some old structures, like in the sign of Capricorn, there may be something there that's being repressed, that's blocking your creative genius from being seen, and whatever that is, you're going to be asked to purge that. Maybe some issues having to do with your children, romance, love affairs. If you have blocks to love in your life, and especially with Saturn there, if you have blocks to your love life due to some maybe fear of love, or maybe you have a fear of children. You're being supported in letting go of that and doing it willingly, because otherwise Pluto will like bulldoze your whole life in that area if it has to, in order to connect you with authentic self-expression and your true spirit. And what else is the 5th house? Hobbies, sports. If there's something that you truly want to do in that area, if you feel like that's connected to your authentic self-expression, but something's preventing you, the Pluto South Node conjunction, but all is going to be supporting you in flushing some of that toxic stuff out. But Saturn, Pluto, and the South Node, they're going to be like together. You're going to feel this all throughout the month, and then on the 24th and the 29th, Saturn and Pluto are going to station retrograde. And when planets turn retrograde and they appear to be in retrograde motion, they appear to be closer to us here on Earth. And so they're more prominent in our psyche. And so they require more work and more focus from us consciously. And so we're asked to review, reevaluate, like Mercury retrograde, what those planets mean. And with Saturn and Pluto, it's going to be, those old, outdated, crystallized structures that are fear-based, that are preventing you from authentic self-expression, true happiness, and true joy, and what needs to be purged there. And then, it's September, October, when they go direct, if you've done the appropriate work, you won't be caught off guard by Pluto bulldozing things, especially when we have that Saturn-Pluto conjunction at 22 degrees of Capricorn in January 2020. So do the work now. The new moon, so you're clearing out in the fifth house area, but and you've got the new moon at 15 degrees Aries happening on April 5th at 4:50 a.m. Eastern. That's happening in your eighth house. Now, the eighth house, this offers an opportunity to start something new regarding eighth house topics. So the eighth house is what we share with others and what we receive from others. So it represents other people's resources, talents, possessions, our access to those things, and also our ability to receive those things from people, to receive support from other people. It's also, any money that you have tied up with anyone else, sex, death, and taxes. And we'll get into like the other two things, but, taxes definitely would fall under eighth house, because that's money that other people have their hands in. Anything hidden, like it's a deeply psychological house. So if there's any, if there are any traumatic experiences or, any emotional pain that has not been healed, like this gives you the courage to sort of break through that and break away from that in order to heal yourself and start anew. Remember, new moons and Aries, the sign of Aries, both have that symbolism of starting something new. And in the eighth house, maybe you start a new venture, a new partnership venture with somebody. That's how that could play out for you. What else is the eighth house? Eighth house is hidden information, deep research, so psychology. So if you're interested in those subjects, let's say you're in scientific research, that would be the eighth house. Or scientific research or the occult, like subjects like astrology or alchemy or stuff like that. You may decide to start a new project in the eighth house there, especially with the ruler of the new moon, Mars being in Gemini, which is a sign that has to do with education. Maybe you are looking into doing some deep research, some deep learning into subjects that are sort of hidden away from everyday view. So like the occult or psychology, things like that. So, and maybe, take the chance on bonding with someone deeply, intimately. The eighth house also represents our ability to do that, to be vulnerable and sort of have that ego death when we mesh with another person. And then the Mars, the ruler of the new moon, is transiting Gemini in your 10th house. So this has something to do with the 10th house as well, the house of career, status, reputation, authority figures, your inner authority, your sense of inner authority, and perhaps a dominant parent in your life. They can serve as authorities in our lives as well. So, those themes will be mixed in with this new moon in Aries as well. And just know that, making that move, perhaps, you want to make a new move. You want to pursue a career in psychology. Well, that's new moon in the 8th house working with Mars, the ruler of the new moon, in the 10th house of career, to be able to allow you to take that first step. See how that works? So it could be any combination of things and how this plays out, but you are supported in that. And then on April 14th, we're going to have a fire grand trine in your 4th, 8th, and 12th houses. Now, these are the water houses, and they're always concerned with deep psychological emotions, deep psychology and emotions that we're not always aware of that run us. That are, the unconscious is what really runs us, what really decides, what actions we take. But with a grand trine in the water houses, this is like a blessing of emotional fluidity, being in touch with your emotions, being in touch with other people's emotions, almost like a psychic understanding. It also gives you psychic understanding. Um, Water is a very psychic element. It can give you a sense of peace and an ability to understand and bond with others. And water is also deeply healing, so it may give you deeply healing energy on that day. And your ability to connect with others. Water is the element that seeks to connect, and this is happening in your water houses. So connecting with your family, connecting with a loved one, or even connecting with the divine. 12th house is supported on that day. The full moon is going to be happening on April 19th at 29 degrees of Libra in your second house of resources, finances, talents, possessions. What the second house is your values, and what do you value, and what supports your physical existence. And so Libra is a sign of balanced relationships, harmony, equality. And there's going to be something revealed, because full moons always represent revelation. So some kind of revelation related to having balanced values, balancing your sense of self-worth. That's also second house. How much do you value yourself? Maybe related to money and possessions, and very much I could see, like, very much it likely has very much to do with what is it that you value in life, and maybe finding a better balance there. Maybe you're too, depending on what you have going on in your chart, you overvalue money, and the Libra full moon sort of calls for a balance there. Or maybe that's something you undervalue. Again, a Libra full moon would call for a balance there. And then you have the full moon in conjunct its ruler in Venus and Pisces, which is in your seventh house. So an inconjunction is always like an incongruency or like an adjustment that needs to be made. And the seventh house is the Libra house of relationships with our one-on-one relationships with other people, a spouse, business partner, clients, a close friend. And so there's something that, or contracts and negotiations are also seventh house. So there's some kind of adjustment that needs to be made between what you value and how that affects your relationships and partnerships, and how you relate to other people as well. On April 22nd, the sun is going to be conjunct Uranus at 2 degrees of Taurus in your ninth house. Sun conjunct Uranus always indicates, being really stimulated, excited, wanting to break free of routine on that day. And for you, that's happening in your ninth house of your belief system, and your sense of purpose, your aspirations, your faith in life. So, and also the ninth house is how we expand our mind. It's a house that has to do with opportunity, the opportunity to grow bigger and to contribute to society more. So it rules higher education, philosophy, religion, metaphysical studies, law, different cultures, long distance travel, those things that help us grow into a bigger person, give us a bigger mindset, sort of shape our belief system. So something you'll likely go against the grain related to some ninth house issue there. I'm not sure what it is. Your chart would tell you, what's going on in your individual chart would tell you more about that. But certainly expect some surprises. Expect the unexpected in the ninth house area on that day. And yes, so Virgo, that is it for you. I think the message for you, Virgo, is, find your joy and live that. Yeah. So have a great month.